Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Winging It F1 podcast with me, Freddie Coates, him, Adam Dickinson, and the other one, Nigel Chu. We're here to preview the Yas Marina Abu Dhabi Grand Prix with Etihad Airways as well, I think. I don't know. It normally is. We're not sponsored by them, so we're just going to say Yas a lot because that joke's not been made for the past 11 years. So, how are you guys?
Yeah, I'm enjoying being able to talk on the call again. And I'm not as excited for this race as I was for Sakir. But, you know, it's still a race. It's the season finale. There's some interesting plot lines to follow, and I'm sure plenty of fallout off the track as well.
Yeah. Well, I was much happier when you had your hat on, Freddie. So now you've taken it off. I'm a bit down now. So, yeah.
Oh. Well, okay. For the audio listeners, I was wearing a Christmas cracker hat.
Let's go to YouTube to increase our viewership to watch those first minute, first minute or two.
You can do it like you can do it like a read along, where like when you get your kids' books, and it's like you can read the words in the book along with an audio book or something, or a YouTube video. So if you play it on your phone and play it on YouTube, you can see if there are any differences, and that'll be cool.
Are we going to have to transcribe this all afterwards then, and then sell it to a publisher and get it out in book form, and then
do like a little sound effect whenever there's a page
before
turn.
Friday? Yeah, I've got a bauble. That's my Christmas attempt.
Nigel, what's your Christmas attempt? Are you going to sing Fairy Tales of New York for us now?
At the end of the podcast, yes, I will.
Oh, okay. Let's get to it then. Let's get on with this. I've never wanted a podcast to end more. That is going to be the 10th question in the quiz. All right. So we're going to get into quite a serious topic at first, I think. If you are clued into motorsport social media, you will have seen Nikita Mazepin's latest furore, in which he has, no other word for it, groped a girl he was with in a car after presumably a drunken night out in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, where he is following the Bahrain doubleheader, and he's going to be taking part in the young driver test after the Formula One race this weekend for Mercedes. And he is the new Haas recruit for 2021, having just finished 4th or 5th in the Formula 2 Championship. 5th, I think. So, yeah, he has essentially visibly shared on social media him sexually assaulting someone, and that's not okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just completely inexcusable. I mean, you cannot defend this in any shape or form. And I think the problem is, as you said before, Freddie, it's the latest incident. There's been so many things going on with him, you know, with something about George Russell and punching Callum Ilott last year or a couple of years ago. I can't even remember. Yeah, I'm sure you, Freddie, you know a few more incidents that I can't think of right now. I'll have to completely
he was banned for a race in FIA Formula 3, European Formula 3 even, regional, in about, I think, 2017, for punching Callum Ilott. There's a few more incidents he's been involved with, and it always seems to be that gets away with it and can carry on.
He's not learning, is he?
Yeah, he's not learning. And we're as people just finding it absolutely abhorrent. That's what Haas said in their statement. They condemned any action that Nikita Mazepin has done with this, and are saying that it's going to be addressed internally because
they wouldn't say anything else, though. I'm sorry. I know I shouldn't be saying this, but it's just PR. They're not going to. They really. You know, that's the minimum they're going to do. But what would he actually do? You know, like where is the line? Because it's gone well too far for me already. And I was willing to give him a chance when he got into F1. You know, and I think F1 always needs a villain, but this isn't being a villain. This is just being stupid. Like,
There's a difference
be anywhere
between
near that seat.
there's a difference between being the villain because you are wholly committed to your work, say, and a little less flamboyant in your character. For instance, the more Niki Lauda Hunt kind of storyline, or Senna Prost kind of storyline. There's a difference between that and being. This is all opinion and everything, but because we have to say that legally. But difference between being a criminal villain and being a storyline villain.
Yeah, it's pantomime villain. That's what sports need. That's what sports want.
Yeah, more of a Fernando Alonso.
That should be kept within the confines of the sport. You know, it's disappointing to see after kind of everything F1 seems to put out about making strides in F1, everything in the F1 community, you know, about women working in the sport or wanting to work in the sport. There was the stuff with Aaron Gillard at the start of the season, and it makes it a less comfortable working environment, I think, especially if he retains his seat and is around the paddock for next year, you know, from the start of next year for a full season, you know, working with people, it's just not a nice environment to be in, I don't think. And yeah, it's, as you said, there's other transgressions that he's committed, you know, kind of off the track and on it, and it's just not the sort of person that people want to be watching in F1, want to be racing against, want to be, you know, cheering on or cheering against.
It's not someone who should be in the public eye at all. It's someone who should be retreating to essentially save any hope of them having any kind of credibility in society in any way. And unfortunately, that's gone. That's down the drain. And it's frankly disgusting, the whole situation. For women as fans in motorsport, for women working in motorsport, this is just going to be another step in another leap in the wrong direction if nothing is done about this. And if something needs to be done to show any respect that either Haas Formula One team or because it does fall onto them in the next steps. Obviously, Haas aren't involved in what's happened, but the next steps they are involved in as an employer and a Formula One team. And for Formula One, they presumably will be involved in discussions here because the We Racers One campaign isn't going to end in 2020. It shouldn't end in 2020. It shouldn't have the last race be the Yas Marina Abu Dhabi Grand Prix coming up in a couple of days. That should not be the last We Racers One race. Every race we should race even more as one. And it feels like we're not.
I mean, how would the men and the women in the Haas team feel about Nikita Mazepin? I really don't know, but I personally, I wouldn't be happy to have him in my team, you know, someone like that. Because if you're, I feel if this was in an everyday job, you just, I don't know. Maybe you would get away with it, maybe you wouldn't. But it's too much. And, you know, he says he'll learn from it, but will we? We'll have to see. He hasn't learned from incidents in the past, so what's changed, you know?
Yeah, I think when you get to age 21 and, you know, you should have done your learning by now before you go into one of the biggest sports in the world. And yeah, I think as you say, you know, I was just thinking of Daniel Apps, who lost his FE seat for cheating in a esports tournament, you know, like this, and I know there are other factors involved, but, you know, this goes way, you know, this is kind of criminal. criminal behaviour, really. And yeah,
even if it is a joke, which is what has been claimed by Mazepin and his camp, it's trivializing and sharing sexual assault on an Instagram story, and that's not on
Why would
anyway.
you put it on the social media? I just don't. Why would you, as an F1, to be F1 driver,
As a person,
imagine anyone else
even the worst idiotic person in the world who has the beliefs that are wrong, even beliefs that are wrong 1,000 years ago, that kind of thing, they wouldn't think to shout about it, because I don't understand any of that. And it's just a complete unbelievable mindset that is one that I don't think any of us will understand, and one that we will all despise, frankly. And this is all Haas are going to be talking about on Thursday in the media day in Abu Dhabi. I don't think internally that the head honchos are going to be realizing how much of a impact this is going to have this morning on them as a team, to hold them to repute. I think they're all a bit naive, to be honest.
Yeah, and I understand culture differences, especially with Russia, but it's too much, and Mazepin knows what he should and shouldn't be doing as a role model, as an F1 driver, and he's overstepped the line here for me.
Yeah, and I think obviously everyone puts things up on social media that they regret, when you're not thinking straight or whatever. But it's just, it's just so much kind of worse than, putting up, having a go at someone that you didn't want to or anything like that. It is, the fact that he did it, and whether it is a joke, with whoever he's with or whatever, that's what's being claimed by, I think, both parties, to be fair. But that's not what people want to see on social media. That's not why people follow their heroes, to see them doing that.
So moving on to more general racing discussion, we're going to bring it back to the Sakir Grand Prix and discuss the fallout from there. Obviously, there was a lot of immediate reaction to George Russell's performance, Valtteri Bottas' performance, Sergio Perez's performance, and Alex Albon's performance in relation to Sergio Perez's performance. So there's probably quite a decent chunk of news to cover here. The news hasn't gone away regarding Russell in Mercedes. Do we think there's probably contract talks going on there? Because some people seem to be adamant that there are.
Could they send Valtteri Bottas back? They do a driver swap.
I mean, that's
shoot him back down the grid.
That's what people think, isn't it? I think. I don't think it's going to be Russell replacing Hamilton. It will be Russell replacing Bottas if it happens. It's a tough one. It is a tough one. I don't see it happening purely unless Mercedes are willing to pay Williams quite a lot of money to get Russell in early, and Mercedes obviously supply Williams the power unit. That is the only way I can see it happening. But I don't think it will. I mean, I'll ask you both guys, would Hamilton like it if Russell was his teammate, or would he prefer keeping Bottas, knowing that he's got him in his pocket?
Do you prefer Bottas?
I think he'd prefer Bottas, but I don't think he's
not averse to a challenge. Yeah, Adam's right.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be like, I don't know. I can't see him being worried about Russell coming in.
Every driver says, "Oh, we don't care who my teammate is and stuff." But then it comes to a situation like this.
Lewis says more than most about how he wants to fight, how he wants to beat the young guns. He wants to beat Leclerc. He wants to beat Verstappen. I think he would want to beat Russell.
Lewis isn't every F1 driver. I don't. Obviously, they give it lip service and stuff, but for most drivers, they aren't the greatest of all time. And there's kind of drivers coming in, and you think, oh, they could challenge them, whoever. With Lewis, I just don't see him. He's just that good and that kind of single-minded, and I think he does, focus so much on himself and improving himself. Yes, given the choice, he might prefer Valtteri, but I don't think, it really worries him that much whether, he's up against Bottas or Russell. I just don't, think he's above that, to be honest.
This is the guy who came into Formula One and soundly beat Fernando Alonso.
Two-time reigning champion Fernando Alonso. Precisely.
And then soundly beat 8th best driver in the world, Heikki Kovalainen, as well, which is pretty good. He's had a rough time of it in terms of teammates as Hamilton. Alonso, Button, Rosberg, all champions in their own right. And all on their day, fantastic drivers. Alonso even more so. So, and Hamilton, for the most part, beating them all. So, I think
there is a point where he does drop off, and we don't know when that could be next year. It could be 5 years. So I think he will be wary of that, especially if Russell comes in as the new hot shot, I guess.
But I think, Hamilton, the way Hamilton would drop off, would you say that would be on pace or would it be on tenacity? Because what we've seen from drivers is that Hamilton can beat them mentally through a season. That's what he's done to Sebastian Vettel. That's what he's done to Nico Rosberg's entire career.
He gets better. He gets better with the challenges as well. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
He does, but that will stop at some point.
Coming out of 2016, when, I think coming out of the first 4 years of Mercedes where he was, against Rosberg, I think he was a lot better driver because of that challenge than he had been going in. And I think, we saw when, Mercedes and Hamilton were up against Ferrari, I think, he took his driving to another level again there. It can't last forever, but it's not, it's not ages. I think age is just a number, it's different for everyone. And there are athletes in every sport who, continue well past, you kind of expect them to. And, I think.
At a level as well, at a high level.
Yeah. You look at Tom Brady, who's in his 40s now or late 30s in American football. And, he's won 3 Super Bowls in the past few years. And, still that's cemented really his legacy as one of the greatest of all time. I think.
From a racing perspective, you've got Scott Dixon, who I know you love, Nigel, I think he's just turned 40, hasn't he? And he's still going strong. He's still unbeatable in IndyCar. A lot of Le Mans drivers, I don't know how old Tom Christensen was when he stopped. I know Alan McNish was getting on for a few years when he stopped, and they were competitive. So, yes, it's not Formula One, but sports like these can still have drivers of an age, people of an age who are exceptional and are the best.
If Russell is as special as he proved to show on the weekend, though, if I was out, I would be a little bit worried because the best drivers in F1,
I agree.
Verstappen, Alonso, Hamilton, they made an impact immediately. They didn't take a certain amount of races to get up to speed or whatever. They were on it straight away. So that's what makes Russell so good to me.
But I also think, whether or not Hamilton should be scared, I don't think it'll be in his psyche to be. I don't think. I think he'll go in with the mindset of that he, can beat him and he will beat him. So, even, like you say, it would be a big challenge for him. But, no matter how big the challenge, I still think he'd take that all in his stride mentally, because that's just, the sort of person that he is. And, a lot of the most famous and successful sports people are.
I think we look at the 2018 season, and for me, that's one of Hamilton's top seasons. The sheer level that he pulled himself to, the Singapore qualifying lap, for instance, and a few other instances that year, the Silverstone pole lap as well, way ahead of what you would have put from a plug-and-play driver. Hamilton is, we say this every episode, even when he's not racing, we're saying this, he's another level. He's a beast. He's a, whoa. He's indescribable. That saves me a few thinking minutes.
Superlative.
He is the superlative Formula One driver.
When you can't think of the superlative for them, you just say they're superlative.
Yeah, and he is the best of all time, and we've characterized this podcast on him being the best of all time. So, yeah, I think
if he isn't, it'll be a bit of a problem for us then.
So seeing the best of all time with a shiver down his spine from George Russell, I don't know. I quite like the sound of some fireworks.
Either way, I think Bottas will stay for next year. So
do I.
It is kind of pointless. But
we're thinking about 2022.
Hamilton's out of contract in 21 days. So
yeah, he is.
That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, and if they need to pay a buyout to Williams, they've got a budget cap coming in 21 days.
Yeah.
So you've got to also think about that, I think.
What if, though? What if he does not sign a contract or whatever? How crazy would that be? It'd be
the X44
such a groundbreaking moment. It'd be such a groundbreaking moment in sport history. I just for a second, just what if it did happen? That'd be. I can't begin to imagine.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see it from his perspective, because some people choose to stay and fight and are there for personal pleasure, in the Kimi Räikkönens. Some are there to achieve their goals and to complete their goals, which is more of a Nico Rosberg thing. Will Lewis Hamilton think if he doesn't sign his contract, if he goes out of contract, and doesn't race in 2021, is it in his mindset to think, I have completed this now? He's equaled Michael Schumacher. He's at 95 race wins, 98 pole positions. Is he getting close to completing a Formula One for himself?
No, I think he's a similar character to Alonso. I think if he does take some time off, he'll realise how much he misses it. And I think he partly realised that when we didn't have an F1 round for 7-8 months. I think he realised how much the sport means to him. So I think
yeah. I agree. I think with the past weekend as well, just gone, where he hasn't been there. His first race, he hasn't been there since March 2007. Is going to, absence makes the heart grow fonder, and I think that's definitely going to be a lot of thoughts going around Lewis's head. He wants to be there. I really think he wants to be in Abu Dhabi. Definitely.
Yeah. He should sign a contract. He just hasn't.
He probably would have done around now, but he's just had COVID.
Well, I don't know, because we were saying back in September, it happened in October. In October, it happened in November.
Back in June.
They were waiting. Yeah, back in June.
It felt signed.
Yeah. But still nothing to be announced, strangely. But it should. It will be just, it would somewhat 2020 if Hamilton doesn't compete next year, quite frankly.
It's like if you've not done your homework, or you have genuinely forgot your homework. You say to the teacher, I've forgotten it. Sometimes they'll let you off for once. But if you're still doing it 7 months down the line, I think people start to get a bit more cynical about whether you have or not. I think it's a strange one. But yeah, if he doesn't, I've been watching the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix, which is brilliant. And the moment when he retired from the sport the first time, it'd just be something on that level, I think.
I think, it's something like when Michael Schumacher quit, and he was still in the fight for the title that year. In 2006, this is the original Michael Schumacher. Not the pale imitation of Michael Schumacher from Mercedes. But when he originally left Formula One, that was a bit of a gulf to fill, and at least he left with Fernando Alonso and Kimi Räikkönen coming up clutch to snatching the mantle already from him over the past few years. There's no one taking that mantle from Lewis. So that, I think there are people standing in the wings ready to, but they haven't done it. So I think we've still got that to wait for before Lewis Hamilton leaves Formula One.
I bet F1's in a healthy place without Hamilton. Though.
Yeah,
well, after
agree.
Hamilton, especially Leclerc, Verstappen, Russell, those three alone, that is more than enough.
Yeah,
we're going well off topic here. Sorry, I don't know what I've done with this. I've completely diverted.
No, it's a good topic. Do you have anything to say on that? Any more to go on that? Because that is a really interesting thing to talk about.
I could talk about it all day, to be honest, Freddie. I don't know
Because, like you say, Leclerc leading one team, Verstappen leading another team, and Ricciardo going to McLaren. Exactly.
Yeah. Alonso coming back.
Formula One. I mean, Mercedes doesn't need Hamilton if they've got Russell now to have a lead driver. I think in the team, every team seems to be having a driver they're going to pitch for 2022, be it Leclerc, Verstappen, Alonso, whoever comes up trumps between Ricciardo and Norris. And if Mercedes can train up Russell a bit, then he will be their frontman going into that fight for the new era of Formula One in 2022.
I'm just desperate that those cars, for 3 or 4 cars, are at the front and they're near to each other on pace, like the back end of 2018, first half of 2018, 2017, or even last year at times.
Just gone.
Yeah.
2010, 2012.
We haven't had it for years, and it is the one thing I'm desperately missing from this season. I know a lot of people saying, 2020 is one of the best seasons ever, in the turbo hybrid era at least. But that fight at the front with 2 or 3 teams, 6 drivers potentially winning when you go into a weekend, that is something I really, really miss from F1.
Certainly. And when you've got them all in a line fighting, it's something that the excitement goes beyond measure. And
the intensity.
I always think back to the 2018 British Grand Prix with I really like that race. That's my favourite race, basically.
Do you really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I've mentioned it before, actually.
You've got the final 15 laps of the race. You've got Bottas, Vettel, Hamilton, Raikkonen sticking with each other all the time. And it's just hammer and tongs to the win, no fuel saving. Just bam, let's go and race. And it's great. And that's what I agree, Nigel. That's what we all want. That's what we all want for the new era, which is getting closer every day.
Sorry, what was I'll just note it down because I've not heard about it before, but it sounds like a decent.
Oh yeah, I'll say it again. The 2018 British Grand Prix at Silverstone. It was on the 14th of July. Actually, it might have been on the 14th. I don't know. 2018. Go and watch it now. Get your new time machine.
Good to sum it up until Croatia. But yeah.
Oh,
It was.
Bang into them.
World Cup fever was well and truly gripping. I was at the race, which helped, but yeah. They had the Sweden-England game on the big screen.
At the World
Saturday.
Surely being at the World Cup would have helped more.
It would have done. Well, with my football skills, yeah, it would have done. We would have got to the final. So you're right, Adam.
You would have scored that sitter that Harry Kane. No, let's not. Okay, yeah.
No,
move on.
You would have said if I was there, you would have been saying, "Who's Harry Kane?" It's all about. A risk of talking about alternate career paths for all of us, which is so true. Let's move on to another story that's been going on recently, which is obviously the Romain Grosjean leaving Formula One. He's raced his last Formula One race, and that was, well, I mean, it was the first few corners in Bahrain, unfortunately, but his last race would have been the one before that, which is weird to think. I don't think, and I still am not kind of prepared to not see Grosjean on the grid next year. Really, it feels a bit strange. He's had his last hurrah, and he's at home with his family, and I think that's the best place for him to be.
Yeah, it's the right decision. Yeah,
I don't think it. To me, anyway, I think it feels like the world moves on quite quickly, And I think there aren't many races that he's had an impact on other than the Bahrain Grand Prix, I think, where you kind of look back and think, oh yeah, one of the main talking points of that race was Grosjean. I think he's not been at that level for a while.
Not for the past 5 years, I agree.
So, yeah, I think it's a shame the way he's gone out of the sport. But equally, I think, you know,
it's the right
before
time.
Before the crash, and even, you know, before this season, I think a lot of people thought, you know, he maybe didn't deserve to be on the grid anyway. So, but yeah, all the best for him for his continues recovery for whatever he does next.
I tend to agree with Adam. I think the crash was kind of like put sympathy onto him, and you know, just without sounding harsh, because obviously, you know, we wish him all the best, and it's not. It's a horrible way to end, as it happened to Dario Franchitti as well in IndyCar. His career ended early because of a horrible accident. It's very similar in a way. It's just not very nice to end your career that way when you've dedicated your life towards it and you end up going out on a crash, I guess. But yeah, it's been a solid career, I'd say. He's had quite a few podiums along the way. Yes, recently in Haas hasn't quite been able to show that form, but for me, I do blame the car more than him. I know him and Magnussen get a lot of criticism and they should have a new lineup, but I probably think they're better drivers than some people think. And, you know, we might see that next year with Mazepin and Schumacher. But yeah, I think Grosjean should be proud of what he's done in F1 because not many drivers have raced for as long as he has.
Yeah, I think
exactly right.
It feels a bit like Coulthard at Brazil. Obviously, different circumstances, but kind of, you know, a storied career and, you know, lots of highs as well as lows. And, you know, it just kind of ends abruptly, really. And it's kind of like, oh, that's that. What's next? You know, again, a driver who's had podiums and that, but not been kind of at that level, you know, within the season that he's retiring. I think it draws a few parallels to that for me anyway. Maybe
it's a career that's filtered out, and I think back to the 2015 Belgian Grand Prix as probably his best drive in that Lotus with Bayliss in the garage. He's such an open driver about sports psychology. His episode in the first series of Netflix, Drive to Survive, was really different to what anyone would expect from these Formula One drivers, because he's his own man, Roman Grosjean. He's managed to remain his own man. I think that's the one thing that most people do love about Roman Grosjean, is that he's a lovely bloke, and it was very easy for him to not be like that in the career he's in. And he is. He's got his family and everything, and he keeps himself to himself really in a really nice way. And when he's driving for Lotus, and the external pressures are that the team is going to get shut down any minute, there are bailiffs in the garage ready to seize Formula One cars, computer banks, anything, take them away to pay off unpaid debts. And he goes out there, gets in the car, and puts it on the podium, drives and puts the pressure on Ferrari to force Vettel to get a puncture, essentially, to put him on the podium. And he puts in that kind of mental performance to bring himself to that level. I always think back to that as probably his best ever race. It's been a bit of a hang on with Haas, but when he went to Haas, everyone was like, maybe there's a step for him to get cozy with Ferrari. And that was a genuine consideration for Grosjean to go to Ferrari. And around sort of 2016, 17, when people were still thinking Raikkonen would leave, it was Perez or Bottas or Grosjean for Ferrari all the time. Was that discussion, I always thought. So, he's going to be missed. I think I agree with what you're saying. He's petered out a bit recently, and you're right. Formula One will move on quickly in the way that it always does with drivers when they're, you know, you're never as good as your last race, that kind of thing. It's a interesting close on his career. Mercedes have offered a private test for him, because he expressed he wanted a private test to bring sort of personal closure to it and to his Formula One life, his Formula One decade. He started in 2009. We always forget that he hopped in for Nelson Piquet Jr.
And
when he was sacked.
When he came through, he was an exciting driver, I thought. And it kind of, 2012, he had a decent season and, he looked like he might win in Valencia, I think.
Yeah, he probably should have done, really. And in Hungary.
His car packed up.
And in Montreal.
It felt like it might be a matter of time before he got a win, and obviously that never happened. But, he did, especially when he first started, felt like he brought an extra element to F1. And I think, if you offer most drivers starting out or most of the F2 grid, the career that he's had, bar near-death experience at the end, if you take that out of it and, these are the races, these are the results, etc., I think, if you offered that to a lot of drivers, they'd take it hands down. And, it's better than 90% of drivers, even who get to F1 do.
Yeah. He matched the fairly prime Kimi Räikkönen at Lotus as well. That win in Abu Dhabi or Melbourne could easily have been at Grosjean's. Grosjean could have taken so many wins. You said Valencia, there's so many races in 2012, 2013 that Grosjean could have won, and that he was he was the challenge for Sebastian Vettel in 2013, really, race to race at the end of the year. Yeah, the championship position doesn't necessarily show that, but he was the only realistic race for Sebastian Vettel and Red Bull.
Absolutely. And I think the way he bounced back from that race ban after the Spa incident in 2012, the way he bounced back from that showed a lot of strength, and that was, really promising how he came from that. And, his 2013 season, arguably his best year in F1, showed that. So I think definitely the first half of his career was very good, I'd say.
Yeah, he has a lot of class, and for definitely a couple of years ago, he was definitely one of the fastest drivers in Formula One. And I think we're going to start repeating ourselves as we go on about it, I think. Right. But bless him. And yeah, Fittipaldi will be replacing him for the rest of the weekend. He did what it was needed to do in the Sakir Grand Prix. Do we think it will just be a similar story in Abu Dhabi? It will be him 10 minutes away. 10 minutes? Not 10 minutes.
Oh, wow.
10
minutes
days,
off Magnussen.
Years. Yeah, I think he did what everyone expected him to, which is not very much. I think he'll probably just feel glad to be there, to be honest, and glad to be there for another race, kind of. Yeah, I don't really think we can expect too much from him. But again, I think pressure is completely off, and maybe he can take advantage of, situation to do something. I don't know.
He did a lot better than I thought, and Jack Aitken did as well in the Williams. He was actually quite close to Magnussen. Yes, there was a safety car, but I think he was, in terms of lap pace towards the second half of the race, he was right there. So that was a fantastic job. I do think if Aitken's back in Williams and with Fittipaldi and Haas, and even Russell, if he is at Mercedes, which will probably be announced Thursday morning, if this podcast is out by then, which it will be. Freddie's very good at these things. But yeah, I think it'll be trickier for those drivers this weekend because Abu Dhabi is a longer, more traditional circuit. So if they impress this weekend, those drivers, that'll be an even greater achievement than what they did in Bahrain for me, because I do think the Sakir outer layout was more of it leveled the playing field a little bit, whereas this track, I think they might get found out a bit more. There
is a knack to a Tilke off-camber 90-degree corner, to be fair. There actually is, because they're horrific corners to be driving. So for them to be able to show a bit of pace in these tracks, so they would have driven before, and I think, I want to say Fittipaldi's driven F1 machinery there before. I think there's a chance he could have driven the 2019 or 2018 Haas there.
Yeah, he might have.
Right. So they've got a knowledge of the track. In a way that they didn't have, which is, it's a positive. So I think, as Nigel says, it'll be interesting to see how they stack up if the situation occurs for Aitken and Russell, how they stack up on a track like this. For Russell, there's an interesting point, which is that he was struggling with the traction zones, the lower speed in the Mercedes. which was obviously only one corner realistically in the Sakir layout. So he might not be as guns blazing if he's in the Mercedes this weekend, based on the entire final sector being the corner that he struggles with. So
yeah, I agree.
I wouldn't be surprised if Russell's in that seat, if it's not as strong performance, because he's not designed for the car, frankly.
Yeah, I think just a final point on Fittipaldi and Aitken is anything can happen. If you're on the F1 grid on a weekend, you know, what we saw last week, before we wrote them off completely, you know, things do happen that people don't expect, that don't seem logical. On Russell, I think he showed real improvement over the weekend. So, you know, yes, he struggled with, as you say, you know, the one corner. But, you know, when he's having that, you know, all through practice doing, you know, dozens of laps around the circuit, you know, over the weekend, then I think I'd back him to get on top of that, to be honest. I think he is adaptable and he's a quick learner. So, you know, yeah, it's something to follow. But I think by the quality in the race, you know, I'd back it to have that figured out.
Yeah, I think we should move on to a few quick fire predictions for this weekend. I think it's a bit rich to ask for pole and the win when we don't know the driver lineup that's going to be testing it.
I think that's what makes it better.
Okay, let's go for it then. On Adam's request, Adam, pole and win.
Lewis Hamilton, based off the fact that he might not be there, but if he is, I think there's about a 90% chance that he does take pole and win. So, yeah, whereas Russell's, I think, is maybe a bit more likely to be there, but I think there's a few more variables in there. So I'll go Hamilton. Maybe not for pole, actually. Maybe Bottas. Who knows?
Valtteri Bottas for pole and win for me this weekend, Freddie.
I'm leaning towards Valtteri Bottas for pole and win as well. It's weird because I always seem to do so, and he never does it. So
imagine picking Hamilton to win and being the interesting one.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing how quickly Formula One fluctuates, isn't it?
I've got a prediction. I did this last time. I think after Monza, who's going to be the next new winner in F1? 111th winner in F1.
Georgie boy.
Yeah. Russell, do you think?
Pietro Fittipaldi. No. I don't feasibly see anyone else in a car that can. So yeah. Oh yeah, it's got to be George, doesn't it?
I'm going Carlos Sainz for this one.
Oh, that's nice. Next year in Ferrari?
Who knows?
You've already predicted Bottas for the win this weekend. Yeah. So it's not going to be this weekend.
Could be 2023, could be 2024, could be 2022. Who knows?
Who's he driving for then? Audi.
Audi?
Someone random in 2024. Who knows? He's only got a 2-year contract for Ferrari so far. All right. Who's going to be faster, AlphaTauri or Ferrari? Nigel?
I think Ferrari will be faster this weekend, especially with Leclerc.
Adam is pained.
The AlphaTauri have been good the last few weekends.
Yes. Hence the question.
Ferrari will be strong in the final sector.
But yeah, as you say, Leclerc's just such an asset to the team. But Vettel isn't, so I'll go AlphaTauri.
That's where I was leaning as well. That's my thought process, is that this weekend just gone, Kvyat has such a stormer of a weekend, which unfortunately will probably be forgotten about when he presumably leaves the team in a week.
Yeah.
But I am going to go Ferrari because I just think Leclerc does something special.
Just appreciate the effect that Leclerc's had this season. If they didn't have him, if they had another driver on Vettel's level, or if they still had Kimi, they would be in the doldrums.
They would have about 50 points.
Raised that team so much.
Yeah,
absolutely.
He definitely has. We've already said superlative about one driver, but why not say it about Charles Leclerc as well this year? We'll definitely be doing a bumper review of this season for Christmas.
Many guests.
Yeah, many guests. We need to ask them. But hopefully,
if you're watching this or listening to this now and you want to come onto the podcast, give us a call. Not a call.
Call us. If you can, find out how to call us, then Nigel's that's fair enough.
Nigel is 0786423.
Whoa.
Don't worry, we'll flash it up on the screen. We'll do like a 24-hour telethon thing, like they do. Like you can phone in and pledge money. Like I'd like to donate £3 to Nigel, and you get you get a deluxe deal and a gold platinum deal, that kind of thing, and you can make requests of Nigel.
That sounds completely wrong.
And yet, so right.
Nigel, you agreed to it. So yeah, in the number below is and if you are listening to this on audio form, then the number is on the YouTube video.
Freddie, we'll put it in a voiceover about now.
Cool. There's the gap for the phone number.
That's Nigel's number.
All right. Right. Let's move on to the Yas Marina quiz. So the reason we've been looking forward to this quiz is because of the promise you made at the start of the podcast about Nigel Chu, our very own, singing Fairy Tale of New York if he wins or loses the quiz. So
I did forget about that.
The jeopardy is, will he win or lose this quiz? Adam doesn't have to do anything because he's got a Christmas ball as his celebration. Nigel doesn't have anything Christmassy on his person or in his life.
Neither of you, Freddie.
I had a hat.
I've still got
the hat to hand.
I've got a massive Christmas tree behind that. See that blind there?
The blind behind you that leads outside your house.
And also in the Christmas spirit, I've got heroes that I'm going to give myself every time I get an answer right. So that's my psychological motivation for it.
You should try and not know what hero you're getting though. So it could be a blessing or a curse. To give us all to give our poor listeners and viewers some hope that we're not just living it up here in the high life. So
there's no bounty, so none of them really.
No, and you're fine. That's celebrations, isn't it? So, you ready for question 1, boys and girls?
Yeah.
Cool, because you're getting it.
No.
When was the first Abu Dhabi Grand Prix?
Nigel.
I heard Adam just first.
2009.
It's the correct answer. Well done, Adam. Doing it for the boys of the NYPD choir.
Dinky Decker.
Adam is going to now eat a Dinky Decker live on the podcast.
It's all right. I'll leave it. I'll leave it until the question that we can't work out. We go,
at the end, you've got to count it all up. And then at the end, you've got to eat them all at once. So if you get like 6, you've got to eat six heroes at once. Question 2. Who made their F1 debut in the 2014 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix?
Adam. Is that Will Stevens?
Will the Lad Stevens?
The lad.
Yes, it is.
Caramel.
Yeah, caramel. That's a good one. That's a safe bet. I wonder what Will the Lad Stevens' favourite chocolate is. That's not the next question. It could be a bonus question if there's a tie break. Question 3. What position did Fernando Alonso finish in the 2020 Grand Prix to lose the title? I'll do a closest wins.
Nigel
Chu.
I think he finished 8th.
Okay, Adam?
I think he finished 7th.
Sorry, Nigel, mate.
Oh.
He finished in 7th.
Hey!
I'll double check it, just in case, just to be nice. 2010 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Wikipedia. He finished in 7th. Do we know who finished in 6th and not a bonus point?
Petrov.
Is it Petrov?
It was Petrov, yes. Question 4. Where is the asphalt that made the track surface from? Hint, they spoke about it in Bahrain a lot because it's from the same place.
Adam? Scotland?
No, but it is from the UK.
Nigel? England?
Yeah, I was going to go for more specific than that.
I'm happy to go for more specific, but
I'm not.
that's the trick.
England's
Then Adam will
quite
get the point.
specific.
What?
What?
If Adam gets it, if you don't
Okay.
get it, then it'll be a nil point. I'll give you all 2 guesses. Both get 2 guesses at least.
Derbyshire?
No, but it is a sheer,
It's not Durham.
not Rutland.
Buckinghamshire?
No,
That's where Silver stuck. Okay.
Yorkshire.
no, that's not. Adam's guess is gone. Can Nigel bring it together with his final guess?
I think I got the point because I said England.
No, you didn't.
Well, it's not Lancashire and it's not Worcestershire.
There's no point saying where it's not. Because then you can just say Adam's answers.
Ooh.
Is it?
Da-da-da-da.
I don't know.
Take a guess. Take a guess at a county in the UK.
London.
Londonshire.
County.
No, it's not Londonshire.
Warwickshire. Is it
No,
Warwickshire?
it's Shropshire.
Oh.
That would have been quite far down on my list of places that I guessed.
Yeah, it
Gotta
rang
be
a bell
honest.
for me because for the whole of the Bahrain Grand Prix weekend, they kept going, look at this tarmac from Shropshire. Wow, it's from Shropshire, you know. Oh, they brought it from Shropshire. And they've done the same to Abu Dhabi. So they're going to be like, oh, it's from Shropshire, like they are every year. So that means that there's no points for question 4, which is probably because it was a terrible question. Question 5. This is the explicit part of the podcast. It's a quote. Don't pull your top down. Who said, the first few turns are quite good, but the rest of it is shit? About the track. About the
Nigel?
Yas Marina. Nigel?
Mark Webber.
No. It's a good guess. The racing driver, but
Alonso?
no. I'll give you all 2 more
Nigel?
guesses again. Nigel?
Sebastian Vettel.
No.
Can we do a closest win?
No. Like what, geographically to birthplace or something, or what, where they are now?
Where they finished in the championship? I don't know. I don't
No.
really think it through.
This is the nice silent bit of the podcast when people think.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have much storage space.
If we...
Yeah.
Can you say, like, whether it was a driver or pundit
Kimi
or
Räikkönen?
whatever?
Nigel got it right. It was Kimi Räikkönen.
Oh, fair play.
Yes.
Nigel, I just had to
Silent.
write down your name because you finally got a point.
Yes.
It's like a fairy tale. Question 6 is a 4-parter. So you can get 0.25% of a mark if you want. Which 4 teams have won at Abu Dhabi? Adam, go with the reel.
Red Bull, McLaren, Lotus, and Mercedes.
He's got all 4 of them, and he's continued being in the lead.
We get to pick
Come on,
which
Nigel,
one.
that's a gift of a question.
Don't give up, kids.
Save yourself,
I am.
Nigel. This is another closest wins question because it's quite an interesting question. What was the gap between Hamilton and Rosberg
We'll
in
be
the
the judge of
2016
that.
Grand Prix at the line? At the line when Hamilton won. What was the gap back to Rosberg in second?
Nigel,
Nigel, go.
was it 5/10 of a second?
5/10 dead. Is that where you're going?
0.555.
All righty, 0.555. I'll make a note of that.
If you go for 0.556, I will come round to your house. Even though you're not.
Adam, is 0.556 going to be your chosen answer?
No, I'll go with what I was originally thinking of 0.554. No, 0.35 I'll go for.
0.35. All right.
Hours.
God, does Freddie have to do maths live?
That's gone wrong in the past. Well, the correct answer is 0.439, which is making it. It was actually really close, but it's just Adam.
Yeah.
So Adam's won the quiz.
0.5. Oh.
But can Nigel bring it back for pride? Probably not, but let's give it a go.
You know it's good when the quizmaster's saying that.
It's like catchphrase. What was different about the 2014 race compared to every other season finale?
Nigel, double points.
Yes, it's double points. Feel the pride?
Yeah.
Question 9. Lewis Hamilton has only finished off the podium at one race in Abu Dhabi where he's actually finished and not retired.
Oh.
Which year?
Well, that takes away my answer.
Nigel, 2013.
Yep. When did he finish?
When did he finish?
Yeah, just for
The
fun.
points.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was about 6th.
So close.
7th.
Yeah, he was just behind Paul di Resta in 6th.
Did he finish the 2009 race? I know, did he get pole and then... I can't remember.
I know, I just assumed he retired, actually.
Yeah, I kind of remember. I think he did, but could be wrong.
I think he retired. For the benefit of this podcast, let's give Nigel the point. Who started in 20th in 2019? Adam?
Filled with regret. Was it Alex Albon?
It wasn't Alex Albon, no. Fun fact, Alex Albon started 5th.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good on the good.
Whether that
He won
tells you
Rookie
who
of the Year as well.
20th.
Who started 20th? Oh, Nigel.
That's the question.
No,
Bottas.
it wasn't Nigel. Yeah, it was Bottas.
Oh, of course, yeah. And then DRS got disabled and he couldn't.
Yeah. So,
Couldn't overtake her just like this year.
in a thrilling
Take anyone.
finale to this podcast, we have Adam taking the win only just with 5 points from the loser, Nigel Chu, on 4 points.
Loser.
Nigel,
Did you have?
I
Did
believe
you
you have the
bonus
lyrics
question
ready.
lined up?
What was that, Adam?
Did you have a bonus question lined up, Freddie?
Oh yeah, what was
No.
Will Stevens' favourite chocolate?
Oh yeah, of course. Crunchy.
Okay, Nigel, what do you think? It's closest
Galaxy.
Well, the correct answer is
Malteser.
actually Milky Way.
Ooh.
No, you've just made that up now.
Yeah, I have, but it's the correct answer. I'm not. It's not defamatory. So,
Is it one? Is it one?
Way.
Is it one of those guess a number questions?
Yeah. How old is Will Stevens?
20? No,
30.
33.
I
No.
don't know.
Is that a bit too old? He's going well.
Well, whoever
Giving
said
Nigel time
29
to get the backing
got it
track.
right.
Oh yes, get in there.
So anyway, Nigel.
Yeah.
While Adam scoffs himself with heroes, and he's got to have 5. One of them's a Dinky Decker, one of them's a Caramel. What are the rest of them, Adam?
There's a Whisper,
A Whisper.
and a Twirl, and a Cream Egg. Not crunchy.
All right, well, get them down you while we
One of
listen
the
to this.
crunchy.
Copyright. No, I'm not singing.
I'm turning it down.
I'm not singing. Oh. I think this is a new low for winning in F1. I wonder who's actually listening to this bit. It'd be quite interesting.
We had a comment citing us for the 43rd minute. So someone listened to the 43rd minute of the previous episode. So
Oh, what
I
did
would
they
like
say?
to say a massive thank you to, I think he's called Mo Elm. I'll just find that out because he actually commented, which was nice of him. He did comment saying, what the hell? But that kind of thing. So he did comment to disagree with us. But yeah, we love a bit of controversy. So thank you, Mo.
We also love some of the bots that we get, and Adam gives his phone number to them in the comment.
Well, get what you can. So that's the not what we're going to say to end this podcast. We're going to say Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for bearing with us. Adam had to be done by 3. We said, yeah, we'll be done by like 2. It's now nearly 3. So
7 o'clock.
Adam's got to go. He's got a life to have. Nigel and I don't. So we're going to go and continue our Pogues impersonation, and you'll see us at Christmas number 1 near you. So thanks very much, everybody. Enjoy the Yas Marina Grand Prix.
Mercedes news tomorrow.
Mercedes news maybe tomorrow when you've probably not listened to this podcast. So doodle doodle.